Hello, and welcome back to Ascension with V. I'm your host, Stashia Jeanette, aka V, and today is another solo dolo episode where I wanted to talk about one specific topic, but again, I'm pretty sure it might go another direction. I'm also doing a new thing. I've got the two camera thing going on here, and I'm gonna see how I like it. I'm gonna see what we got going on. So I'm gonna see how I like it, and you guys can give feedback as well. But I wanted to talk about forgiveness. Today is Easter Sunday for those of you who practice that, or if that has any relevance to you guys. But for whatever reason, I woke up with like this topic on my mind. And then the oracle reading that I did for the Patreon members. If you're not a member of my Patreon, I highly suggest that you check it out. And if you're into the oracle readings, if you want to get the weekly oracle readings, I am doing a thing now where I start every full moon, I will post a public oracle reading for YouTube. But outside of that, if you want to get the oracle readings every week, you gotta join the Patreon, or you can just buy them, like just one-off buy them. But nevertheless, I just got through recording a oracle reading for this week for the Patreon members, and that card came out. Forgive, and forgiveness is freeing you for letting yourself down and others for what they've done to you. And that's a hard one. That's a hard one all around, in general, the topic of forgiving people. We think a lot of times that when somebody has done us wrong that like, be like, oh, I forgive them. But like, not really, because you still have the residual energy of like animosity and anguish and resentment and, all the sour, the sour tasting, the sour feeling emotions that come, that come along with it. And so what does it mean really to forgive somebody? But beyond that, what does it mean to forgive yourself? And forgiving the self, honestly, I think forgiving personally speaking, I think forgiving myself was the hardest thing. Because I spent a large portion of my life in the abyss. And when you're in the when you're Mariana Trench, when you're in that survival mode, when you're in the depths of the metaphorical proverbial hell, your main focus is I gotta get out of here. I need to survive. And that's it. That's literally the focus. That's what you're there, that's what you're there doing, is trying to survive. And it feels like every other mental thought is kind of put on the back burner because you're in survival mode. You're in the mode of like, I don't care what I have to do. I don't care what I have to say. I don't care, what choices I have. What do I have to do to survive? And a lot of people that I work with, I have three personas of people that I typically work with and see frequently. And the rundown of it is again, it's the highly successful men and women, a lot of them in the, the masculine energies, the CEOs, the multimillionaires, the billionaires, the, just really, really successful in the material, physical world individuals who have essentially obtained material wealth at the cost of their soul, the cost of their soul's growth, at the cost of their soul's ascension, at the cost of their soul's evolution. You know what I mean? And their soul is suffering, and now they're trying to right the wrongs for the choices that they made, because their motive was, I got to do what I got to do to become successful and gain success by any means necessary. And again, what is that driven from? That survival mechanism that's driven from that. I got to survive. I got to beat everybody. I got to be the best. I have to have, the most amount of money to see you, whatever the case may be here. You understand what I'm saying? It comes from that survival instinct. And then also like it comes from greed, but like, in general, in a masculine led world, we're all fed that thing, that idealized indoctrination of how to be successful and what success looks like in the physical world. And for a lot of masculine energy, that has been, again, like, gotta have the big houses, gotta have the women, gotta have the cars, gotta have the money, gotta have the X, Y, and Z, have to look and live flashy type of situation. But then like in the back end that nobody's seeing is they're so miserable and sad and depressed and lonely and really, really down bad. So I deal with, that's one of the personas, and the one outside of that is it's the ones that have just been on demon time all the time, and like I said, hey, no shade here, no judgment, nobody's cast judgment over here. We've all played the villain or played, on demon time all the time role in some lifetime. Just because you don't, Jay, just because you don't remember it, don't mean that that wasn't you at some point in time. Like, hey, I'll unroll the scrolls here and be like, and it seems that in the year 1020 BC, you chose violence every single day. Yeah. So like again, no shade, no judgment over here, but like these are just the facts. There's a lot of my other persona that I help is the ones that who've just been on demon time all the time, but they knew they weren't making the right decisions, and now they're coming to the point of being like, I gotta do something here, gotta change this, I gotta fix this because that's not it. I can't do this, and they don't want to continue that lifestyle anymore, and so then they run into people, they run into me. And then the ones that who have just been dealt like a really, really bad hand in life, who have essentially just gone through some really, really rough things, some really, really dark things that, put them into, again, the survival mode of 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 not feeling like they are worthy of achieving, a greater life or having a greater life, but they are trying to just get out of the abyss, and they're trying to stop the suffering, and they're trying to, but the common denominator here among all of them is survival mechanism, the survival instinct, the survival ingrained trait that kicks in when we're going through some really dark times, that says, I don't know what I got to do, but I have to do whatever I have to do in order to survive. With that being said, there's a lot of things that people have done, myself included, right? That like we look back and we're like, ugh, ugh, I don't know about that one. I don't know about that, some questionable decisions, whether it be with people, whether it be with places, whether it be with opportunities, or, whatever the case may be. We've all had this situation at some point. And if not, like, good for you. Good for you. I'm glad that you just didn't have, I'm glad that you just I'm glad that you just didn't have that issue. You didn't have a rough life at any point in time that you had to that you had to wait, I don't know. Okay, sorry, that was weird. Yeah, that you had to, fight and struggle your way out of to try and make the best out of. There's just a lot of things that there's just a lot of things that have gone on in people's lives that force them to make like not the best decisions, and we get down on ourselves when we look back and think about the things that we have done, in those aforementioned moments that really, made us feel, regretful over. And I think sitting too long in a state of regret is something that really, really holds you back from stepping into your highest self and becoming your highest self, and achieving your highest destiny and timeline, because you're leaving like a part of you behind, in this timeline that doesn't exist anymore, right? Because the only thing that we have that's existing currently is the present moment, right? The past is no longer there and the future is not there. So it's this right here moment. But if we're still allowing ourselves to be caught up in things that happened whenever, it's entrapping us in like a vicious cycle loop that we really struggle to get out of a lot of times. And the only way that you can get past it, and the only way that you can get out of it, is to forgive yourself for the things that you did, or for the choices that you made, or for the decisions that you made when you were in a lesser version, when you were in the Mariana Trench, when you were in the Challenger Deep, when you were in the densest depths of the proverbial hell, right? you've got to let that go. You have to allow yourself to be like, hey, I did the best that I could with what knowledge, information, and bandwidth that I had. And you just got to keep it moving. They call it young and dumb for a reason. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you if you super old and you still I don't know what to tell you. If you super old and you still being dumb, like at that point, that's just a choice. You're just constantly making the decision to just, yeah, I can't help you out there. Like you, you just doing stuff now to just be, you just doing stuff now to just be, but like, for the ones who are here, who have gotten older and wiser, and they're looking back on the things that they've done in their life, accept it for what it is, and chalk it up to being the young and dumb, and just a stepping stone in the rite of passage and initiation process that you had to go through. And that's it, and but for whatever reason, it's so hard for us to be able to get past that point. Like, okay, like even when you consciously understand that this is something this was just rite of passage, this is just something that I had to go through. For whatever reason, it seems like it's so difficult and it's so hard for us to be able to be like, oh, like it's okay, but we want to be so hard on ourselves for Y you know what I mean? For the things and the choices that we have done. You can't do anything about it, and if you take nothing out of this, like, short podcast episode, I want you to know that you literally did the best that you could, and you made the decisions that you were supposed to make at this point in time to get to where you're at currently. Because if you're a person that's now here at this point of understanding, of understanding, of knowing oneself enough to be like, you know what? I'm going to do something different. I'm going to make different choices. I'm going to be better. I'm going to attain better for myself. I'm going to make more aligned, conscious decisions for myself to get myself to where I want to be in alignment with my highest self destiny and timeline. Like, that's a huge step. That's a huge stepping stone that I think needs to be acknowledged and praised and given credit and paid homage to, because there's a lot of people who still feel right now that they're just too deep in it to get out. And I sympathize with that because there was a point in time in my life where I was like, well, I'm locked in here, I guess, and that's not it. Even when I said that briefly, like I'll give y'all like the brief synopsis of it. Like I hit the F it button two or three times in my life, early though, right? Like an ancient but young one at the same time. I went through a lot of all of my really terrible shit at a really young age. And that's something that I can say is both a blessing and a curse, because I think if I had to do it over again, I would still choose to do my rough stuff at an early age rather than doing it at like a later age, because I think it's harder to bounce back at a later age, and I sympathize for those who are like in their 60s or in their 70s, now like, oh snap, I got to get it together. You know what I mean? Because like now it's like physical clock is ticking, and you might have to resume next incarnation. That's rough, like that's so like I get it from both, but when I was in my really terrible stuff, I hit the F it button and was just like, well, I'm just gonna do whatever. But there was a time within that like 2 and 3 year time span where I was like, I don't know if I can I don't know. I might have gone too far. I might have gone too far. Like and I thought, maybe there's no coming back from this. Like maybe I'm just like in the permanent timeout corner, like, that this might be a wrap for me this lifetime. But also not only that, like I went through a lot of physical deaths, in this time span as well. And so I also thought like, well, this is just part of this is just part of my punishment. And but I accepted it as that, I did. I sat with myself frequently, and I went through the death, the judgment part, and in that judgment part, I sat and I like picked apart every single thing that I did, and I was like, okay, well, I understand it, and I accept the punishment that's being given to me currently, and I just rolled with it. every single time that I've faced a death, whether it be spiritually or physically, like I just accepted it as it was and was like, all right, and kept it moving, but there's a lot of people who don't who aren't able to accept things as they are and accept their part in whatever it is that's happening with their life. And I think that's also like another part that has to go along with the forgiveness, like is the acknowledgement. I think it should probably be acknowledge the things that you've done wrong and where things went wrong and how we got to where we're at kind of situation. And then you need to forgive yourself for it. Like, so step one is acknowledge and step two is forgive, because you have to take accountability for your part in wherever it is that's in your life. Like you can't just want to take accountability like when things are really good in your life, where it's like, look at all the things that I've done. Like, no, man, you need to have that same amount of accountability for when like things are really shitty in your life. While you can't control all the things, like, but your reality is like a direct your outer reality is a direct example of your inner reality. So like if you're out of alignment internally and like everything is just raggedy internally, that's what you're putting, that's what you're going to get back out like on the external world. And then vice versa. Like if you've been putting in the work within the self and you've been, really clocking them spiritual hours and those internal hours, and you've really been watering yourself and you've really been taking the accountability for your growth and for your healing and for your development and for your ascension and for your evolution and all the things, like you start seeing that externally as well. So like the accountability goes both ways. Like you have to be accountable and acknowledge the things that, like when things are going raggedy for you in your life, like you have to be accountable and be like, what is it within me that's causing this? And then also vice versa, when things are going great, you have to be able to acknowledge like, hey, I did this. These are the things, you know what I mean? And give yourself your own flowers, by give yourself your own roses. But yeah, it's the accountability has to be there, the acknowledgement has to be there, and then you need to forgive yourself so that you can move on fully, and you're not being like on the ball and chain of like your past, because it does anchor you down, and prevent you from flourishing and ascending in the most effortless manner that you could probably be doing, had if you did not have like the excess baggage of your past tied down to you. And so that's something that I really wanted to stress and make abundantly clear, is that your excess baggage of things from your past really does weigh you down. And at a time where where the goal is to get into your light body, where the goal is to become the highest possible version of self, you want to do what you can as much as you can to lighten your load in any way, shape, or form, both internally and physically, so doing a deep spring cleaning of the mind cache, clearing the mind cache, and then going within your heart and clearing out your heart space from people, places, and things that have hurt you or traumatized you or, done you wrong or betrayed you or whatever the case may be here. It your heart space, your heart chakra really does require kind of like a routine maintenance and clean out sessions to be had, because otherwise you're stuck with this like leftover baggage that clogs up your heart space and makes it really difficult for your sonar system to work properly. And if you've not seen the chakra series that I did on my Patreon, and I put a few on the YouTube publicly, please check those out, because that is also helpful to know, helpful information to know. But yeah, getting back to it, it just can really throw you off when you're harboring things from your past and things that were done to you and things that happened to you. And so if you at all are at all possible able to sit down and kind of, I don't know, take inventory or take stock of anywhere in your body that feels like you're holding on to any kind of tension, or you're holding on to any kind of anger or resentment, or like check your how your shoulders feel. Do your shoulders feel heavy? Do your shoulders feel tense? And really just do like a thorough head to toe body scan of yourself, and then also try to do the same thing internally. Like, what does your mind feel like? What does your heart feel like? Do you feel heavy? Do you feel like there's still people, places, and things that you need to forgive? Do you feel like there's still things that you're holding on to from your past that, you have done that you need to forgive, or forgive yourself on? Asking yourself these hard-hitting questions. What am I still holding on to? Where do I feel like I have been hurt? Where am I still harboring resentment, anger, or bitterness or animosity towards anyone or anything? I've been doing like a lot of inner child work where I've kind of taken a really zoomed out look at things that have hurt me, or things that I went through in my childhood with my parents, or with my sibling, with my classmates, with any, just anything, from childhood, and then like seeing how it has affected me currently right now. But then not only that, but to see how far I've come and how much I've grown. There was a particular incident recently where I was able to kind of like in real time see how much I had grown. And because there was a time not long ago where my throat chakra wasn't open enough for me to be able to speak my truth on a situation that really hurt me as a child, and stand my ground on it, and kind of, but like in a peaceful manner. Like, there was no anger attached to it. There was no like animosity. There was no like, like negative emotion tied to it. It was just like very calm, very peaceful, but like just me speaking the truth on it. And and it was like such a great feeling, because it was me being like, oh snap, look at this, this is progress. And you are the most important project that you will ever work on. And I say this frequently, but I feel like people don't like give it the utmost respect and credit that it deserves. But really, truly, people want to see their external projects do well and flourish and things of this nature. And yeah, that's great and all, but literally you are the biggest project that you will ever work on. And I wish people would start treating themselves the way that they treat their external projects, and how they want their external projects to be extraordinary and really great, and things of this nature. And I just wish people would look at themselves the same way that they look at their external projects, and put the same amount of care and effort and attention into themselves as they do with their external projects. And because so much could happen for the highest good, for your, how great you would turn out, if everyone treated themselves as such. And that's what I got. And yeah, but if you take nothing out of this, please remember that all we have is the right now, and let go of the things that happened in the past, because it's not there anymore. And you're attached to a thing that doesn't exist any longer. And the world is moving forward either with or without you. And so you have to make the decision every day whether or not you're going to continue to stay stuck in a reality that's no longer there, that doesn't exist, or if you're going to allow yourself to heal and purge and catch up with the world, and stay in this present moment, because the present moment is a gift, and you should treat it as such. Every single moment. Speaking from somebody who literally I lived my life I mean, I still do, but back then when I was, really, really, really sick, like I treated every single day like it was going to be my last day. I recorded a lot, and I poured into everything that I was doing with the utmost care and passion, because I didn't know if I was going to make it another day. And so live every day like it's your last. Tell the people that you love them. Speak your truth. Forgive people frequently. Understand that everybody's doing their best, even if their best isn't the greatest. and allow people to be who they are, and accept them as they are, and not try to like change them to fit them to some idealistic persona that you have in your mind, or how you would like them to be, or how you would like them to act. See people as they are, and speaking from somebody that sees people as they are to the soul, but also being able to see people's like highest timelines and highest selves and versions. I've had to stop myself a lot of times from wanting to lock in or help somebody based off of the way that I see that they're at their highest timeline, because they're not there yet. And it would have been detrimental or harmful for me to engage or be constantly in contact with their lesser version at the time, because that version of them was harmful to me, not in like a physical manner, but like in an emotional and a spiritual manner. They would have been not been an equally yoked partnership, whether platonically, just as a friendship, or as business, or as romantic, across the board. It's super super important that you see people as they are currently, and not be fixated on a version of them that they can be. Save space for them to grow into that person, and be, like, leave the door open for them to come in as that higher version, should that time arise, and should they choose to step into that version of themselves, like, welcome. But see people as they are, accept people as they are, and be okay with that. Be okay with loving people unconditionally, but loving them from a distance if you have to. But live each day like it's your last one. Live each day with no regrets, with no animosity. Stop thinking about the things that you could have done differently. Stop thinking about the things that you didn't do, the choices that you did or didn't make, or shoulda, coulda, woulda type of scenarios. Like, let that go and just be here currently in the present moment. Go outside, put your feet in the grass, look at the bushes, look at the trees, look at the birds, listen to the bees. Look up at the clouds. What do they look like? Do they look like mushrooms? Do they look like moon? Do they look like paw prints? Look and be here, be in the present moment. A lot of you guys have been in the same room for 18 plus years, 10 years, 12 years, and you don't know what color your walls are. You don't know what painting is hanging up in your room. You don't know what your couch looks like, because you're not here. You're just always looking down at the phone. You're not present. Um, so I challenge all of you who have listened to this to just go around your house, go around your frequent environment, and take notice of the things that are around you, because it helps you stay in the moment. It helps you stay in the present. It helps you ground into the right here. And again, tell people you love them. And if you like somebody, be like, "Hey, I like you." You know, so what you got going on? You trying to get to know, trying to get to know each other. The thing of the not telling people how you feel about them is really raggedy, and it needs to stop. It's scary to be vulnerable, but like, get over it, because vulnerability can't be avoided any longer, especially not where we're at in the world. Like, you can't keep trying to duck and dodge being vulnerable. You need to be able to speak how you feel, say how you feel confidently and courageously. And if somebody doesn't want you, then it is what it is. But like, don't sit there and like harbor emotions or feelings for somebody and then just let it fester and then be upset when they're with somebody else, and then now you over here wanting to pull some like fatal attraction type shit, because you because you just never spoke on your feelings for somebody, and they have no idea. So like, just cut the shit. Just tell people how you feel, and and present as you are authentically. And yeah, stop trying to dodge being vulnerable. That's it. That's it. All right, guys, this is what I have for you guys, and I hope it was helpful. And don't forget, you can join my Patreon, and you can get the New Earth Guidebook to Healing and Ascension on Amazon. You can also purchase my V Squad Oracle deck in the link in the description box below. and all the other things that I have on offer. I got the Divine Union Blueprint, Love Blueprint, calling in the Divine Union to define exactly what it is that you want in a partner is on offer. Also in the link tree, but it's on my Patreon that you can purchase. And I got the Your Dream Life template also to call in your dream life, what it is that you want in your highest timeline. What do you look like? What are you doing? Type of situation. Also available for purchase, or you can get it as a bundle. And then we got the merch that's in there. We got a lot of things on offer. Your girl's out here. Your girl is out here. So yeah, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and stay tuned for future information and drops. Every Tuesday is a new episode with Ascension with V. And until next time, I'll see you. V Squad.